There will only be one of these 16 schools from the SEC standing by the end of this imperialism. With the last 13 of 19 national champions coming from this conference, we need to figure out who the best team from the SEC is. And let me explain how this map will go from those 16 colleges to just one. There's also a new rule that I've added, but to keep it simple first, each turn I'll spin this team wheel to land on one of the SEC schools, Texas, and then I'll spin this directional wheel to determine where they'll attack, which is south. That means that this first game is going to be the Longhorns trying to take over Texas A&M's territory. And there's only two ways that a school can get eliminated: if they're defending and they lose, or if they attack a school 3 times and lose every single one, the defending team would get to take over their land. Now that you know the rules, it's time we figure out the best team from the SEC. And like I said, our first game is Texas attacking Texas A&M. Now this is being filmed before they play this weekend, so I can't tell you what the result of that game's going to be. But College Football 26 can. They have predicted that it's going to be 31-27 with Texas having a minute and a half to come back. Arch Manning's got the ball. There's a lot on his plate. Just like I'm sure there was plenty on your plate for Thanksgiving. We'll see what Texas can do. All they have to do is score a touchdown. Can't get in field goal range when you're trailing by 4. Arch steps up, he throws it, and Texas A&M gets a hand on the football. That's going to make things 3rd and 4. You don't have to pick up the first down on this play, but it would be nice if the Longhorns could, keeping this drive alive. And instead, they're going to need another 2 yards. Since Texas A&M is defending their own territory, they're the only school here that can lose their land. They're trying to withstand this attack, but they're giving up that easy pass. And that is going to keep hope alive for Texas, where they throw it to the outside, but it was underthrown. Unless that was a comeback route, it was kind of hard to tell. Originally, they beat him off of the line. And Arch Manning's going to need to be a little bit more accurate, but it's hard whenever you're playing at a place like Kyle Field. The Longhorns have already used 2 of their 3 timeouts, so they can only stop the clock one more time, but they're in the red zone. And it is looking like Texas A&M could get eliminated in the first game. Arch Manning has marched down the field, 30 seconds still left. He's just going to go for a short read, not going to help him much, and that's going to be the use of the last timeout. This is where Kyle Field needs to get loud. The Aggies defense needs to hold strong, and an inbounds tackle helps a ton. As Texas gets off this final snap, there's going to be no time left on the clock, so it's all or nothing. Can Texas beat Texas A&M? It's going to be a 50-50 ball, and he does not catch it on his head. It would have been the best way possible to win this rivalry, but the Aggies have defended their home territory. And if Texas attacks them 2 more times and they're able to defend well both times, then they would be able to take over all the land the Longhorns have. That's a new rule I got from you all in the comments section. 3 strikes and you're out. If you attack a team 3 times and you aren't able to beat them any of those times, you should lose your land. I think it's just going to add to this SEC imperialism. The next attacking team with the chance to take over more territory is LSU. They have certainly had an interesting season. They have lost their head coach, they've struggled, and apparently they also want to take a shot at Texas A&M. This is interesting because I feel like the Aggies are on a spot on the map where they wouldn't be attacked that much, and yet they're the first team to face a chance at elimination, not once, but twice. They've handled this game a lot better than the last, but you can see before the play, Garrett Nussmeier was shaking out his hand, and that's caused the offense to struggle due to his injury. He might have helped the Tigers pick up that last 4th down, but they're trailing by 27 points. They're just not going to come back in this game, and I'm pretty sure I don't even want to know what a stat line looked like. Well, Marcel Reed didn't play the best in this matchup, and Texas A&M really had to rely on running the ball with Le'Veon Moss. If we go over to Garrett Nussmeier's stats, well, he only completed 17 of his 43 attempts, and his injury was holding back his potential. That is the 2nd attack that has failed. Nobody has lost their land yet, but Alabama's looking to take some, and we'll see what direction they're attacking. It's going to be to the southeast. I know what's over there. You know what's over there. We're getting an Iron Bowl matchup early on. Another game, another rivalry that's being played in real life this weekend where I have no idea what the result is. If I had to guess, Auburn won't do too well, but they're going to have Deuce Knight starting in this matchup. And I know Auburn will be going back to Ashton Daniels in real life, but maybe they should lean on the freshman because Deuce is keeping them in it. I guess not really. He only has put up 9 points, but he has inspired this team to play well as they try and avoid being eliminated, and they're only down by 8 points. Save the football, they're currently driving down the field, and with no timeouts left, they're going to need a lot to go right for them. You can't hit your receiver in the head. Deuce Knight is not happy about it. His running back just didn't turn around in time. And on 2nd and 10, they got him out there in a 5-wide set where he just takes the quick check down. That'll make it a lot easier to move the chains over these next 2 downs. They got a corner route though, and Auburn is right back in this football game. Now, I don't get to sit here and say Auburn's going to win the football game yet. They need a 2-point conversion just to send it to overtime. And with Cam Coleman getting in so soon, they've also left the Crimson Tide a lot of time to respond. But the Tigers have a chance, and this is a huge play play in Jordan Hare. There's a reason the Iron Bowl is one of the best rivalries, if not the best rivalry in college football, and it comes down to this 2-point conversion. Deuce Knight throws it, Cam Coleman catches it, and that duo has kept the Tigers alive. We could be headed to overtime, or this game will be over, depending on what Ty Simpson can cook up. He is yet to make a mistake in this matchup, playing almost perfectly. But that ball was dropped, the stadium pulse continues to pick up, and Auburn coming out with a defensive look that is not going to give up anything. It's seeming like the Tigers might even get the ball back before an overtime could happen. But if that is going to occur, they have got to get the Crimson Tide off of the field. 3rd and 10, Ty Simpson over the middle. It is intercepted. The Tigers have even more life than ever before. I was almost sure that Alabama was just going to work their way into field goal range. They were going to end it. They were going to get Auburn eliminated from Imperialism. But the complete opposite has happened. And why did Alabama start that play with a guy lined up offsides? Cam Coleman does it again. Cam Coleman does it again. It was a free play. They had 2 guys on him, and they still couldn't guard him. I have never seen anything like this. A complete meltdown from Alabama. Ty Simpson's going to step up in the pocket, and they're going to get like 6. But they needed more yards than what they got there, and it's another quick throw. With only 1 timeout left, you got to take some deep shots, or else they're just going to be sending up some Hail Marys with the hope of potentially scoring a touchdown. Though I will say, I like how they're handling these quicker throws. A lot of them have been towards the sideline to stop the clock, which is because Auburn is just dropping guys back, playing safe. So Alabama's going to continue to take those gains. I don't even find it hard to believe the Tigers could lose this game in an unimaginable way. Their fans might end up being heartbroken. It would not be the first time, and it's another quick throw. Is he out of bounds though? I think. Auburn didn't have to, but they pushed him out. And so even though the Crimson Tide have no timeouts left, only 20 seconds on the clock, they should be able to get off at least another play or 2. Ty Simpson though was about to take a sack. Jordan Hare continues to just get louder and louder, and the pressure's on. Is Alabama going to force overtime? What are they going to cook up? With 15 seconds left, Ty Simpson throws to the end zone. It's a 50-50 jump ball, and it is caught. It is caught. The Iron Bowl is the greatest game ever. What would really add to all of this is if they just went for the 2-point conversion. And let's see if Kalen DeBoer has it in him. He does. They've gone for it. Alabama is looking to eliminate Auburn in just storytelling fashion. Ty Simpson is about to take a sack, though, and the Auburn defense is going to hang on. They're going to win this game. Auburn is going to win the football game. After all of that, the Tigers hang on. So I will continue to let Deuce Knight start for the rest of this Imperialism. I mean, that could not have been a better matchup for us just a few games into this to witness. But I'm noticing a trend. Not a single team on this map has lost any territory yet. At some point, one of these attacking teams has got to win, though I'm not sure if it'll be Ole Miss. They've got all sorts of their own drama going on at the moment. Who knows what's going to happen with Lane Kiffin? And how wild would this be? Right after losing, Alabama gets eliminated a game later. As the home team defending their territory, they're certainly going to have an advantage. And they did not hold back at all. They ran up the score, beating Ole Miss 48-23. They defended Bryant-Denny Stadium extremely well. With Ty Simpson really waking up, he's not going to play bad like he did at the end of that game against Auburn. It just gives us another game where the attacking team fails to win, though. And I really don't even want to talk about Kentucky football. I don't want to speak on what has happened to us, even if I don't think we would have won to it. Would have been nice to see us attack Tennessee, but a rule in Imperialism is if an arrow hits an open territory, you have to claim it. So instead of getting to attack this round, all we did was get some extra land. That was about the worst thing that could have happened to Kentucky. It doesn't help us. It's just going to increase the odds of someone else getting a chance to beat us. And if we're talking about Vanderbilt, can we speak on Diego Pavia's mother? In the most respectful way, of course. They're going to be attacking Kentucky. Kentucky's going to go out. When we traveled to Nashville a week ago, my favorite team got embarrassed by the Commodores. But this one took place at Kroger Field. And Cutter Boley is going to lead this team to the promised land. We're going to beat Vanderbilt by 24 points. They only scored 10 on our defense. Hail Mary's not going to work. And Kentucky stays alive for just a little bit longer. You know what? I should have just had faith in my team. We took care of business. Ole Miss attacking again. And this time the arrow wheel is going to point them to the west. That means Arkansas is going to be on the brink of elimination. A team that I am pretty sure has not won a single SEC game all year, but they're like the best 2-9 team ever. Sure enough, I'm not even surprised. The Razorbacks are only trailing by 5 points, but I am sure they'll find a heartbreaking way to lose this game. And Taylon Green's last pass was dropped. There's a flag on this play where you already know what it is. It's going to be a holding call. There is nothing that can possibly go right for Arkansas. You know, it gets to a point where you just got to feel bad for them, that you got to root for them. Though I can't say that last play was really a great decision from them. Setting them up for a 3rd and 19. You want to get back half of it, or you could just go for all of it on one play. Ole Miss is going to knock that ball out. But I like the aggressiveness. You just got to try it one more time on 4th down. If they don't pick this up, the game is not technically over either. Obviously, they'd prefer to just get it. Ole Miss is going to have an interception instead that puts them on the 36. And you have to force it. You have to at least have a chance at moving the chains. With 2 timeouts left, though, Arkansas can still stop the clock a couple of times. They're just going to have to stop one of the best running backs in the country, and they do. Here we go, 3rd and 5. It's just going to be a handoff, and there's no one that's going to catch him. You got a Division II quarterback ending this game on Arkansas. He has been incredible for Ole Miss. So we have gotten our first elimination of SEC imperialism. Arkansas was hoping for the best, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't finish off many offensive drives against the Rebels. And if we just take a step back, there's a long way to go. There are 15 teams remaining. It took a little bit for somebody to not successfully defend their home field advantage, but that's what Arkansas will do. And look at Mississippi State being in an interesting spot. They're going on the attack. It's going to be at Death Valley, but like I said, LSU hasn't been having that great of a year. So even if it's going to be at Death Valley, I wouldn't count the Bulldogs out of this game. It turns out, though, we should have just counted them out from the jump, because they're not even going for an onside kick in the final 30 seconds. They're just giving it back to LSU and letting them take a knee, showing that they have given up after scoring. Mississippi State got blown out. They weren't even able to score until the 4th quarter. So if this wheel happens to land on them again, I don't think teams are going to be too concerned. South Carolina is another program that's really struggled versus what their projections were. And if they're going to get any extra land, they're going to have to go through Georgia. If they can manage to pull off this upset, it would be a huge one for this imperialism. And look at the situation we've gotten with a little less than 2 minutes left. Both of these teams tied at 27, and Lenora Sellers just missed a super easy throw. South Carolina is in a position, though, where if they drove down the field successfully, they could win this game. Instead, he turns it over, and Georgia is probably just going to settle for the game-winning field goal since they're already in position. These teams have not saved their timeouts for the end of this game. It's going to be a sack. Dylan Stewart is one beast on South Carolina that you always have to watch out for. But to get the Bulldogs out of field goal range, they're going to need a couple more of those. And are they out of bounds? Gunnar Stockton's already thrown 2 interceptions in this matchup, though I can't blame him for the decision to keep throwing the football. Evidently, Kirby Smart does not trust their kicker to just tack on 3 and have them win. They need to be running out clock. Instead, they're going for the end zone, and South Carolina has a chance. Lenora Sellers didn't do great the last time they had the football, but he is already getting them past midfield plus more off of just one play, and that's the explosiveness the Gamecocks needed in that situation, so we hope to see it more. With this next snap, he is getting plenty of time to just scramble. I can't believe Georgia didn't have a quarterback spy. And it turns out you don't need timeouts to function because South Carolina is having no problem moving down the field. It's a little weird they just gave them credit for that catch. The ball popped out immediately after, but it is what it is. Only 23 seconds left by the time they get off this next throw. It's a 50-50 ball, and it is snagged on his head. This is where we could see another aggressive 2-point conversion. We could also see overtime. That cameraman was in the way. And Jared Brown with an incredible play to give South Carolina the hope of upsetting Georgia. I mean, how did he grab that? Well, it looks like South Carolina is just going to take things to overtime. But if there's anything this game has showed, anybody can win SEC imperialism. Anybody can beat anyone. For the first drive in overtime, Lenora Sellers in South Carolina has the football. He was able to move them down the field in quick fashion whenever they needed it the most. But can he do it without as much pressure? It looks like he might. They're already at the 5. Nick Harbor is not just a big body, but he's also really fast, which makes him difficult to guard. And I'd imagine after that running play didn't do anything for them. They're going to go to throwing the ball on 2nd and 3rd down, but it's not the case. It all comes down to this. I highly doubt they were going to run again. It's a good throw, and it's the same receiver that had that aggressive catch at the end of regulation, Jalen Brown, making it happen. There is clearly somebody that Lenoris will lean on in those types of situations. Can Georgia respond back? If they don't, they will be eliminated from SEC imperialism, and Gunnar Stockton was trying to start strong. On 2nd down, back to the air. It's just a quick throw. You got to show that you can lean on the tight end even when he drops stuff. And I'm surprised Oscar Delp didn't get in, but I'm sure they'll be able to get 1 yard in the next 4 plays. They aren't going to run it, though. They're just going to throw. It's a laser. And we're about to see a double OT game between these teams. It seems like the Bulldogs are going to start this drive with a run as they get about 10 on the ground. And that's going to move the chains for Georgia as South Carolina just doesn't have an answer. For both of these teams, defense hasn't existed for a majority of the game. But what did I tell you about Dylan Stewart? You got to watch out for him because he comes off of that edge hard. Will he come all over them again on 3rd and 8 though? That's the question, and he does. Dylan Stewart injured Gunnar Stockton in the process, and Georgia has to settle for 3 points. They're going to lose this rivalry. All it's going to take for South Carolina to win this game is a touchdown. And I really hope the Gamecocks can pull it off because that'll just show the chaos that we can have in SEC imperialism. Georgia was clearly one of the favorites to win this entire thing, but now they could be the 2nd team eliminated We just need some bigger gains here, and it's going to be 3rd and 3. Coming out in a spread formation, Georgia rushing for. I see someone open underneath. Lenore Sellers doesn't, but he was staring down his running back. And that is just going to inch the Gamecocks a little bit closer to pulling off this upset. They still need to get another 7 yards, though, to crack the end zone. It's going to be 3rd and 4. And if they don't manage to pick this up, I can basically guarantee they're going to just kick 3. South Carolina has the opportunity to upset Georgia and eliminate them from Imperialism, but they didn't even block that kid. That was the easiest sack we have seen, and Dylan Stewart's had some easy ones. South Carolina had the opportunity to beat Georgia, and they still will in these extra overtimes. No, they won't. No, they won't. They missed the field goal, and they have just fumbled everything. It is just an unbelievable result. That was their chance to really shake things up, but yet they failed to do so. Now, Ole Miss is attacking again, and they've already tried to beat Alabama once. I guess they're going to get a second crack at it. I'm still just in disbelief that South Carolina couldn't even hit that field goal, though. And at least for this one, I think Alabama's going to be safe again. The Rebels currently find themselves down by 2 possessions with a minute left on the clock. And Ole Miss really just let 2 guys in when Alabama only sent 3. Trinidad Chambliss is going to have to pull off a miracle for the Rebels, and that's going to help. But there's only 31 seconds remaining. They have no timeouts left. And no matter what, they're going to have to get an onside kick if they're even able to score in the first place. The whole reason this game is so important is because Ole Miss has already attacked once, and they clearly are not going to win this one. So that is 2 times they've gone to Bryant-Denny and they've attacked Alabama, but they haven't pulled it off. If they were to do that a 3rd time, then they would lose all their land and be eliminated. It's the new rule. Ty Simpson has a chance to own them. So for the Rebels' sake, they should probably be hoping they don't ever attack the Crimson Tide again. I actually really like that new rule. If you're able to defend 3 times, that's a 3 strikes and you're out type of thing. And there is just no way that the wheel lands on Ole Miss again. It's like it's magnetic to them. Instead of playing Alabama, though, they're going to have a chance to take out their in-state rivals. And I would think that they could at least claim the Egg Bowl for themselves. Well, at least Mississippi State hasn't just gotten wiped off of the field. They still have 90 seconds to save their run in Imperialism, and they're at about midfield as well. That last play might not have gone for that much, but trust me, they just needed to get some momentum. And for the first time in this game, they're completing 3 passes in a row. For Mississippi State, it's been their defense that's even made this one a little bit of a competition, but now they got 4 in a row. And with a minute left on the clock inside the red zone, it's looking like if they can successfully score a touchdown in a 2-point conversion, we're headed to overtime. I have a feeling Blake Shapen's going to pull this off until he took a sack. Setting back the Bulldogs a lot. They only have 1 timeout remaining. That leaves them with 23 seconds left in this game, not out of bounds either, so they had to use that final timeout. And they better start taking some shots to the end zone, because that's not winning them this matchup. In fact, I can't even guarantee they're going to get off another snap, as we're just sitting here staring at this board. And they don't. They didn't get off another play, so Ole Miss is going to win the Egg Bowl, knocking them out. So far, the Rebels have been the only team responsible for any eliminations in SEC Imperialism. But when you compare their territory size to a couple of the teams from Texas, they still don't have the most. And what are the odds that they get another opportunity to attack? The wheel is not going to land on them. It is going to land on South Carolina, though, who's coming off of a loss to Georgia. And they're actually not going to play the Bulldogs again. Instead, they're going to take over the state of North Carolina. I'm not sure this really helps them, because now Tennessee is also on their border. But they could potentially draw Kentucky as well, and it's going to be Texas getting another turn. We saw how they opened up Imperialism. They're not going anywhere near SEC schools, though. So I guess the conference is just going to start to expand the states that aren't in there. Speaking of expansion, I really do hope that we're just done with a lot of these major conferences expanding, because I feel like we have hit a breaking point. You can't even play anywhere near the amount of teams in your conference in football. Money doesn't make those decisions, though. Logic does. So we'll see what happens. South Carolina getting another shot at Georgia. And I'd be pretty surprised if it came down to the wire 2 times in a row. When you get a final score that is this far apart from the last time these teams played, you have to wonder how it was even close the last time. South Carolina really had an opportunity and they blew it. Again, another team not taking the onside kick with a couple minutes left, because it is that bad. And if the Gamecocks attack Georgia one more time and lose, they're going to have to give up all their territory and be out of Imperialism. I wasn't sure if that new rule would even be used, but it seems like it's going to occur pretty soon. And we'll see where LSU ends up attacking. It's going to be to the northeast. After all the land that they've taken over, Ole Miss could be eliminated right here. And the best part about doing a conference Imperialism where a ton of these teams have been there forever is there's a lot of rivalries. In the Magnolia Bowl, LSU finds themselves down by 8 points with 2 minutes remaining. And the stadium pulse here in Oxford just continues to pick up. Garrett Nussmeier gets it out though, and they have enough for a first. LSU has taken 30 seconds to barely move the football though. So if they're going to score a touchdown and maybe a 2-point conversion to send this game to overtime, they better move it quicker. 4 yards in a running clock is not winning you the game. And they are already under a minute left It's just another check down. At least get out of bounds. 50 yards in 50 seconds. That is what the Tigers are shooting for, but no one picked him up. Or he just didn't fall for the play action. That's at least what it looked like happened. LSU, though, burned a timeout, and now they're going for a deep shot. Is that Berrien Brown? I think it might be Berrien Brown who's gone. He's really fast. He's a hard player to stop whenever it comes to his speed. And sure enough, you can see he just immediately took off. Garrett Nussmeier saw over on that side, and I can't imagine that they were pressing him, but he ran by all of these kids. All of a sudden, there is some fear in Oxford, but you can't make this up. You cannot make this up. This is such a garbage game. What are they doing? You cannot tell me that the computer is so dumb they don't know to go for a 2-point conversion there. I just see a new thing every day I play this where I wonder how that was possibly coded. Did no one ever see that? Ole Miss is going to survive. I hate calling things garbage, but I feel like there is no other way to call it than that just being pure garbage. Why are they not going for the 2-point conversion? If you wonder why I don't do as much simulation content this year, Imperialism's tournaments, it's because EA has made it worse. And so when you have to sit here and think about who's going to win this Imperialism, anything can happen. It could be any team. There is no guarantees at any point in the game your team is going to do the smart thing. Georgia getting their chance to attack South Carolina now. And the Gamecocks already had their chance twice to eliminate the Bulldogs, but they couldn't. Apparently, South Carolina is not ready to be eliminated though. And home field advantage is clearly making a massive impact for these teams. Typically, it hasn't in Imperialism, but maybe it just means a little bit more in the SEC. I think the Gamecocks are in a great spot to close this one out as they inch towards field goal range. And they probably only need a few more yards for it, but if they want it to be a comfortable field goal, you need at least 20, so that's what they're going for. Granted, when it comes to college kickers, I'm not sure there is such thing as a comfortable field goal, no matter how close you are. And Georgia realizes they're about to go down by 3. If they want to even get this ball back and have a chance, they have to call timeouts, but giving up the drag is going to do it. The Gamecocks have put themselves in an amazing spot, and since Georgia only has 1 timeout left, there's only one team that can mess this up. We saw South Carolina miss a closer field goal, though, in overtime. I was just sitting here thinking about that. So this is not a gimme, especially if they're not going to have it centered up. This could go bad. In fact, do we even know that they're going to call a timeout and attempt a field goal? I'm watching that clock inch all the way down to 2 seconds, but there it is. They did call a timeout. And I know I sure can't hit a kick from a hash mark in this game. Will the Gamecocks beat Georgia and survive, or are we headed to overtime? They got it. Well, neither one of these teams in this rivalry seems to want to knock each other out. They just keep on losing on the road. And so SEC Imperialism just continues to be filled with failed attack after failed attack, which most likely won't change with Kentucky being landed on. But who knows? We're about to attack Tennessee, and I really hope that we can win. The only game that we've seen out of Kentucky so far, they played pretty well. But I think it's safe to say this one has not gone as planned. I don't even want this score to be thought of for more than half of a second. It's the 86th time Tennessee's won that game, and we are straight back to the wheel. Auburn is going to get an opportunity to head to the south, and with just one result, the Gators could be out of Imperialism. We have yet to see the Swamp get defended in this Imperialism, but now that we have gotten it, we'll see that Florida is currently trailing by 6, and they need DJ Lagway to play well. Taking that sack there sure doesn't help their case. The Gators might get knocked out super early on, but they still have a few more opportunities to make something happen, and he had to throw it away. It is now 3rd and 14 for Florida. Couple of audibles before this snap, and it looks like it's just going to be a floated pass, 50-50 ball. That cannot be brought in. Well, it's about to all come down to one play for the Gators to defend the Swamp, and we'll see what they have drawn up. At least get it over to the marker. It's another chance to catch it 50-50. They got it this time, and the crowd is going to erupt because they weren't expecting it. I guess they're just going to pick on an Auburn corner. They saw the matchup that they wanted. DJ can't break it, so he's going to go down again. That has been something that's happened quite a lot in this game. What Florida is going to be looking to do here is just get more time running off of that clock. If they were to get in, they don't want to give Auburn an opportunity. Why did he run straight into him? He was set up to run straight for a first down, and instead he ran straight into the Auburn defender, so they need this 4th and 4. Now they can sit there, do their chomp, they can celebrate, but you only have 18 seconds remaining, and with no way to stop the clock before they get off this next play, they might only have 2 more left in them in this game. Is Florida going to survive? All you have to do is scramble here, and he makes it. It took a lot for DJ Lagway to just step up and run in, but he finally did. And Auburn tried to ice them for this extra point, but they're not going to miss. It's another one where the team at home is just able to survive, which the Tigers also did not too long ago whenever Alabama attacked. Almost nobody seems to be able to eliminate anybody. It's actually extremely impressive. And I thought Missouri was about to be playing in their first game, but they're not. Instead, LSU is attacking Texas A&M for the 2nd time, and maybe this time around they'll have a little bit better luck. That has not been the case, though, it is 41-7. And this is just ugly for the Tigers. If they lose this attack one more time, they're going to eliminate themselves. They've gotten plenty of opportunities to knock out other teams, but they haven't been able to. So we'll see if Missouri is able to capitalize on that, though I think they're going to be taking extra territory. This doesn't really do them any good. They're missing out on an opportunity to attack another school. So where teams would normally benefit from something like that, it's actually going to hurt their chances in this imperialism. Kentucky is another program that has a lot of states above it, and it's frustrating when we don't even get our chance to attack, but we're not going to get embarrassed like the last time if we're doing this. Big Blue Nation is spreading, something I didn't think I'd be saying during a football imperialism. And that's right, I said football imperialism because I think there's some college stuff coming to 2K later this year. Even if it's only the 16 teams which are rumored, I'll still end up having some fun with that. I really want them to expand to a full game at some point. Our matchup here is going to be Tennessee at Georgia, and there's a chance that this is the end of the road for the Bulldogs. After Georgia started this game down 17-0, I personally thought they were done for, but Tennessee just missed a 56-yarder. And so with that field goal not going in, Georgia has an opportunity to take the lead. There's still 2 minutes left, so things could play out in all sorts of ways. That's going to be a missed throw. And this is it. 3rd and 7. Tennessee's about to get the sack, though Gunnar Stockton got the ball out, and they're just going to have to punt it back to the Volunteers, who are now going to get the opportunity to eliminate Georgia. Minute 45 on the clock, so they can run the football. And this Stadium Pulse better kick in. They got a set with a quad over on that left side, but they just go straight up the middle. And Joey Aguilar has played incredible in this game. No interceptions, 4 touchdowns. Tennessee hasn't been the best front runner since they had that 17-point lead to start off and have done nothing since. But they've at least stayed in it, even with some injuries along the way. And if Joey Aguilar took a sack there, hope of field goal range would be even farther out of the picture. Now, when we hopped in to watch this, Tennessee had missed a 56-yard kick, so they need to get a little bit closer, and I think they are in field goal range, especially with another 5 or 6. This is most likely the end of Georgia. South Carolina wasn't able to do it, but Tennessee is, though this run puts them at the 16, and they're going to be on a hash mark. We'll see how they handle it. I think they're far enough back to where they shouldn't have too many issues here, but always watch for what the refs are going to signal. It's off of the post. You don't even need to look at the refs. Somehow Georgia is not being eliminated once again. They have been lucky. I'm not sure if they have it in them to clutch up in another overtime, but we will see. Tennessee has already picked up 1 first down, and Star Thomas gets them another 4, making this a great spot to give him another carry where he gets in. Georgia's going to need a very good response. And Gunnar Stockton, first play, goes up the seam. They break the tackle, so it was an immediate touchdown. Georgia has life again. I highly doubt that this next drive is going to be as easy to finish off as the last one. But I was giving credit to Joey Aguilar, and I got to give that same credit to Gunnar Stockton. Almost 300 yards through the air with no turnovers and 4 touchdowns. But he just got driven into the ground by Joshua Josephs, and that is a major play for the right edge. With the Bulldogs on a 3rd and 9, they needed to throw, but it's just bad communication. Tennessee has the interception. And you would think that they would find a way to not mess things up. But I am not sure I can promise that. A win is not locked up until they get points. Theoretically, they should just run the ball a few times until Star Thomas puts them in, or they settle for a field goal, but I think if they get on a hash mark, they're going to miss. We already saw Tennessee's kicker is not having like any success in this game. He's missed twice. And on 2nd and goal, Joey Aguilar keeps it. He stiff arms a kid. He's staying on his feet, but I thought he might have fumbled that ball away. Unless they run this one to the middle, they are not going to be centered up. They could even throw an interception, but that sack might have put them in a good spot to where they can angle it over without hitting the post or shanking it. This is it. Georgia could be eliminated from imperialism if Tennessee's kicker can just finally hit something. He does it again. There's just no possible way he's this bad. I can't believe it. I saw him actually in person miss a field goal for the win. They had an opportunity to beat Georgia in real life. How can I forget about this? I was at this game. Anyway, I guess college football 26 is just as realistic as it gets. 2-point conversion is one of the worst play designs of all time. And I think Georgia's actually going to win this game. This just doesn't even make sense to me. How are they winning? They have to be the luckiest team imperialism has ever seen. And I almost feel like in some way, Tennessee should be getting punished for losing. Max Gilbert better not be taking a kick for them the rest of this imperialism. And I actually really like this draw for Kentucky. It is just going to hit South Carolina's land, so we're going to be attacking the Gamecocks. Although they also beat us pretty bad in real life, this is a video game for a reason. And look at that. We are only down by 5 points. A touchdown in the final minute wins us the game, and somehow Macklin was able to get out of that play to the 30. We might actually be able to beat somebody. Cutter Bully standing tall in the pocket. That's another 15. And there's about 30 seconds left on the clock still. I didn't love that play, but it worked out since the ball was dropped. It's going to be 3rd and 6. And my Wildcats are now completely out of timeouts. I'm hoping that we take a shot to the end zone at least. It's a corner route. It's open. Macklin does it again. And South Carolina is about 10 seconds away from being eliminated. I am so proud of this team. I might not have had any faith at all, but that's because I didn't want to get hope and then get left down. All of a sudden, I got hope. I guess we left a little bit more time on the clock than I was thinking. South Carolina still has all 3 timeouts remaining too. But over the course of the next 2 plays, they're going to need some large gains, and that's another. They actually could get into field goal range. I'm not sure what type of play design they're going with here, but if it's 4 verticals, if they can get 20 yards, we'd be in trouble. And luckily, all they did was throw for a 5-yard check down. That isn't going to help them win. Lenore Sellers, though, just got him out of bounds. Are you kidding? There's no way they do this. I have never seen teams dodge elimination harder than they have dodged elimination in this Imperialism, all with the new rules that we have, where the only way you get knocked out is if you're getting attacked. You can't be punished for attacking. Typically, with the big Imperialisms, if you're the attacker or the defending team, you get knocked out if you lose. With a lot less teams in an SEC Imperialism, though, I thought it made more sense for teams to only get knocked out if they couldn't defend in their own stadium. And it is definitely caused for a lot of incredible moments. South Carolina still could lose this game. We've already scored. I would really just like to see my Wildcats close out one of the rare eliminations, and we got it. We got it. That is a pick. It's over. Lenore Sellers is done. He has provided plenty of entertainment for this Imperialism so far, but Kentucky is going to beat South Carolina. I think it's been about 2 years since I've witnessed an Imperialism where my Wildcats have actually done something. And we currently have one of the largest territories in the SEC, with Texas being the only bigger one. I'm not sure how long it's going to last, but this is a pretty cool feeling. And it just hit me. Georgia could literally knock us out with 1 game. They're not going to be attacking the Wildcats, though. Instead, they're headed down to Florida, where they're forced to play in Jacksonville. There's nothing I can do about it either, since this is where they play in real life, so Florida's not going to get their home field advantage. And it's unfortunate that it's that way, but EA just doesn't give me the control to change the stadium. This is going to be one of the more brutal eliminations in this Imperialism, but I don't think Florida can blame just the home field advantage on the fact that they're losing. DJ Lagway's thrown 2 interceptions, and with a throw like that, he's still trying to get the Gators back in this game. For best odds in this game, they really need this onside kick, but Georgia's just going to scoop it up. And at least they still have 2 timeouts to burn, but Nate Frazier's rushing for almost a first down here. He needs 2 more yards on the ground. They blow it up, and this is a massive 3rd down. On 3rd and 5, it's a run. Florida's got the tackle, and do they have a kicker that can actually hit? Unlike Tennessee, because we know they don't. Here it is. It's going to go the distance, and it's also going to be in, which ruins basically any hope that Florida had of getting back into it. I mean, they'd still have to get an onside kick. They would need to score a touchdown immediately, and that just didn't happen. This is most likely the final play. The Gators are eliminated. They just got an unfortunate draw that they had to play in Jacksonville. But let's be real, it's still a lot closer than Athens is to the city. And our map is finally starting to see some elimination. It might not seem like much, but 25% of the SEC has already been knocked out. And we head back to the wheel to get us over to Vanderbilt for the first time. They've gotten attacked, but they've not gotten to do any attacking. And they have an opportunity to walk into Bryant-Denny Stadium and shock Alabama like they did in their own stadium a couple years ago. If they can find a way to pull this one off, it would be quite the win. And there is a tad bit of hope for the Commodores, who are only down by a possession. They're going to need 8 points, and they're going to have to come up with it in less than 2 minutes, but Diego Pavia gets this throw out on the run, and he finds a wide open receiver. Getting out of bounds is even better for Vanderbilt, and we'll see if they can continue to march down the field. A simple check down gets them 6. For all we know, we might be setting up for another overtime game, but that was a major hit from the Bama defense, forcing that ball loose. I'm not really sure if that helped out the Crimson Tide, but that one will. Now Vanderbilt has to pick up this 4th down or the game is over. And they got it. They are hanging on by a thread, but they're still in. The play action pulls down Alabama defenders, and Vanderbilt has a chance to tie it up with the 2-point conversion. They only have 1 timeout left, but this can't be happening again. This can't be happening again. This is so dumb. I just can't act like there aren't major, glaring issues with this game. I don't know how that was missed. This could have been a matchup that Alabama didn't win, getting eliminated, but they have luck on their side now, as EA just can't code a game, so 21-20, Alabama moves on. And both of these teams get to stay in Imperialism since that attack wasn't successful, but that just ruined what could have been an incredible overtime game. I think I'm more frustrated with this than most bugs I run into, just because it wasn't a problem in College Football 25. It never happened in that game. But somehow in the last year, they've regressed and made it happen in this one. Missouri is once again not going to have to play, but this will set them up to face the Sooners in later games. Now the 2 programs share a much stronger border and Vanderbilt attacking again. The odds of it are pretty slim, but they could run into Alabama again. Or instead, Ole Miss, another tough team in the SEC. This conference is deep, so a lot of these games turn into toss-ups. And this is just another one of those that you can add into the mix. Ole Miss in a tie game. Vanderbilt's getting another opportunity to cause an elimination. We'll see how the Rebels handle this final minute, though. On second down, they are taking a deep shot, and if they don't catch this, it stops the clock. Now they're in a position where if they don't pick up this 3rd and 10, Vanderbilt gets the ball back with plenty of time. And they're probably gonna do that because Ole Miss drops it. How far this punt goes is actually a major deal, and Vanderbilt is going to get to fair catch it or get a 5, 10, 15-yard return from starting at the 25. So what does Diego Pavia need to do? Get them like 30 yards? Vanderbilt might knock out Ole Miss, who is responsible for 2 eliminations. 20 seconds remaining. They did take a lot of time off of the clock before using their first timeout. And on a 3rd and 1, if they don't convert this, they might not go for it at all. I mean, they shouldn't. They should probably punt and just settle for overtime. They'd be giving up the risk of a field goal to Ole Miss if they don't get it. But what's so crazy about this is it was feeling like almost a lock for Vanderbilt to get into field goal range, and they never did. In fact, their punt was so bad, they've put Ole Miss on the 40-yard line with 11 seconds left, and they're moving it. If they can somehow have a 6-second play here, which is exactly what they go for, they're going to be able to use a timeout, kick a field goal, and win. It is really hard to believe that Vanderbilt is the team giving up the field goal as time runs out. If we just look at where this was 30 seconds ago, but Ole Miss is going to defend their territory. They're surviving for a little bit longer. And we're back to the exact same thing we've been running into. Nobody wants to get eliminated. When it's on the line, everyone seems to play so much better. And this is awesome. Ole Miss has a chance to knock out Vanderbilt after Vanderbilt just got their opportunity. They withstood the attack, and they have immediately gone back in that direction. And look at the situation the Rebels find themselves in. Down by 3, but hitting a deep post. They've already basically secured that they can tie things up and force overtime. But I think they're going to get a touchdown out of this drive, because they have got to be due for a score. Trinidad Chambliss has not had a good game. He has 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he's put them in a good position to get in. And what's even more impressive is he was able to stay on his feet as they did. Diego Pavia is certainly going to get his chance to respond, but they got a long way to go. And we all know that play's not benefiting them at all. Just draining time off of the clock for a 0-yard gain. I thought they might catch that off of the deflection. We've actually seen that happen in an Imperialism, ran in for a touchdown. It was nuts. That's why even though there is still clearly broken mechanics with the AI, I can't get enough of Imperialism. NCAA Football 14 had some same broken stuff in it as well. And something about Vanderbilt's feeling a little bit broken. They can't make a catch. On 4th and 10, to keep their hopes of winning Imperialism alive, that was all they could do. And they have saved their 3 timeouts, so if they can just force a 3 and out, they would only be going down by 7 points. But I think we have to expect that they're about to pick up a loss, and it's probably coming on this play. If there was a team I would fear the most right now, it's Ole Miss. They are now responsible for 3 different eliminations, as almost no teams in this conference seem to be able to handle the Rebels, though I haven't forgotten about the fact that they've already tried to beat Alabama twice. For now, things are looking good for them. They just don't want to lose to the Crimson Tide for a 3rd time. And I'm rooting that they get another opportunity to attack, but instead, it'll be Kentucky. I can't believe we're getting another chance to knock out somebody else. But you saw what the score was the last time we tried to beat Tennessee. And at this point, I'm just rooting that we can even play them close. We've actually done way better than that. We have a 3-point lead with 90 seconds on the clock. But Tennessee, using all of their timeouts, has gotten the football back. And if they drove down the field, scored a touchdown, they'd win this game. They need at least a field goal. I mean, things are looking really good for us, especially if Joey Aguilar is just going to throw us an interception, not even going for a pick 6. And if we're smart, we're just going to take a knee, end the game right here, and somehow shock Tennessee. That is exactly what Cutter Boley is going to do. And I can't stress enough how rare it is for us to win this. It's amazing. Kentucky has had more than just a small impact on this Imperialism. They continue to expand up in this Northeast region, at least the Northeast part of the SEC. This is something that carries Boston College to the end. Maybe it'll carry us. We are officially in the top 10, and Auburn's going to get to take their chance at somebody. They have a lot of really big schools that currently surround them, and it is none other than Ole Miss who could potentially lose. It's going to take a miracle out of Deuce Knight, but Auburn is in this game. and they pick up the first down. He has thrown 2 interceptions. I can't believe they're even close. But they are. With 2 timeouts left, if they burn another one, they're not going to have as great of odds. But I thought they might just settle for a field goal, keep it within a possession, and then get the football back. What a fight. There's the issue, though. Another timeout has been pulled. So no matter what Auburn does, I think Ole Miss is safe. It's going to be very hard for the Tigers to get the football back. After taking that last sack, I think Ole Miss fans have been able to just relax and feel fine. So much time is run off the clock. There is only 20 seconds remaining, and the check down was open. Deuce Knight didn't want to take it, though. Instead, he went for the touchdown. Auburn, still not sending a field goal unit out onto the field, is just going to go for it here. And the hottest team in this Imperialism picks up another win. I highly doubt that they're going to be featured in another game, but here they are attacking. And they just can't escape. They're in the middle of it all. If this is Bama, it would cause a lot more chaos. Instead, though, you see exactly who this is going to touch. It's Kentucky. But here's the thing. We beat the Rebels last season, and we could have beaten them this year. And with a minute left, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to handle this. We got the football. We're also going to be moving the chains, but it's a tie game, and we could just run out the rest of the clock. Preferably, we avoid overtime since Cutter Boley is shaking out one of his wrists. He's just going to get out this throw for another few. And even if it's not his throwing hand that seems to be injured, you have to wonder if that'll affect him. With that tackle being short of the marker, it could be the final play of regulation. Mark Stoops is at least being smart enough that we wouldn't be giving it back to Ole Miss with much. But now that we were able to convert, we're going to need a very large play before we burn that final timeout. And it's not enough. You know what, though? South Carolina was able to get out of bounds from a position like this. We will not. And whether or not my team gets eliminated by Ole Miss comes down to overtime. We have the football first. We're going to hit Ole Miss with play action. And Cutter Boley, all the time in the world, still going to take a sack. I would like to assume that nobody was open, but I couldn't tell myself. We're just going to have a quick read to the flat on second down. And I can't lie, this isn't really setting up well for us. 3rd and 6. It's going to be caught, though. We're still alive. I would like to think that we could finish off the drive from here, but we lost a couple yards. On 2nd and goal, same thing. It's a run. Seth gets nowhere. And it all comes down to this. I don't want us to settle for 3. I'm so glad we got it. This is where our defense could really come up clutch. It's how we beat Tennessee. And it's how we've won some games in real life this year as well, too. 2nd and 6. Trinidad is going to get it out fast, but luckily they just weren't on the same page. And I can't say Kroger Field's going to be one of the loudest places in the SEC, but we can still get rowdy here, hoping that stadium pulse had any bit of impact. This game just seems to be setting up for double overtime at least, though, and we could have had it. On 2nd and 10, Trinidad is getting way more time back there than I would have liked to see. Our defensive line just isn't generating any pressure, but they're not going to be running the football here. And they got it. I still have to have high hopes that Kentucky is going to survive this attack, though. And if we could just force the Rebels into kicking 3, I'd feel a lot more confident. There's just too much time. What have I said? Wait, there it is. Interception. Kentucky defense locking down just like we needed them to. So things are looking very good. Do not take a sack. That is just not what we needed to happen there. Cutter Boley's going to get it back, though. And as long as we stay in field goal range, we're going to be okay. Don't throw an interception. You've got to be kidding. You've just... Why? It's funny when the computer messes up and my team's not affected. But now we are stuck trading 2-point conversions because we are dropping back to throw the ball when a field goal wins the game. How did he get through? Okay, you know what? Things are back to being all right. We just get a stop on this 2-point conversion attempt, which we have. And somehow Kentucky gets to survive against Ole Miss, a team that has knocked out so many schools. That game really played with my emotions, but everything turned out the way we needed it to. And Texas might be getting another opportunity to attack here, which they are, but barely. I thought they might be claiming land out to the west. Instead, we get a rematch of the first game. It hasn't mattered yet, but potential losses could stack up and end up hurting these programs. So Texas could not afford to waste this opportunity, and they didn't. It's been a little bit of a weird game, but Texas A&M is down, and how did they recover that? Speaking of this being a weird game, I mean, that play in itself was just odd. And Marcel Reed set them back on a 2nd and 20. If Texas A&M can't move it 20 yards in 3 plays, they're going to be eliminated. Why are they so obsessed with going to him? It is now 3rd and 27. I've never seen a collapse like this before. They could lose more yards on this play, or Le'Veon Moss could get back like 18. And now 4th down is still manageable. The Aggies have a minute to score a touchdown, but it could all end if they're not successful. And that's going to be just an incomplete pass, but there's a flag on the play. Why would you hit him? It was at least 5 yards above his head. The Longhorns just bailed out Texas A&M. They're still in it. I mean, they seem to have absolutely zero sense of urgency, but their Imperialism chances are not gone yet. They still have about 35 seconds left. It's another short pass. And with no timeouts, before the next snap, this clock could be under 15 seconds. That leaves them with basically 2 chances to take shots to the end zone. You don't want to go shorter than that. unless you plan on getting out of bounds. And if you're rooting for Texas A&M, I got some bad news for you. That clock is about to start running, and when it does, there is no chance of getting off another snap. Texas walks into Kyle Field, and they get Texas A&M out of here. I was truly expecting Texas to lose again, but that just wasn't in their plans. Their territory continues to grow, and I feel like they're in a pretty good position to get to at least the top 5. Most schools can attack them, and the ones that will have to go out of their way. Missouri is another school that finds themselves in that spot, though, and it is starting to get out of hand, the fact that they never have to take the field. The Tigers still have not gotten to attack a single school, and Georgia going on the attack is an extremely scary sight. They almost drew Alabama, but they have gotten Auburn instead. And this is the Deep South Soldus rivalry. Now, what I can say about that is these teams are playing like it's 1902. The score is currently 6-6. I'm not sure if they're aware that the forward pass has been invented. Nate Frazier, 15 carries, 13 yards. And I feel like they're just playing for overtime at this point. Gunnar Stockton taking the clock down below 30 seconds before snapping the ball. Do they realize they have 3 timeouts left and they could be in field goal range? Now, that was a massive hit. If he caught that pass, it changed everything about this game. But Auburn has saved themselves for a little bit longer. Georgia's going to take it to overtime, and it seems like the Tigers are getting the football first, where this run's doing nothing. Auburn's going to let Deuce Knight go through the air due to that, but he takes a sack. And I don't think this is a surprise. This is how the entire game is gone. Auburn is just going to have to settle for a field goal. Unless they can get a miracle here, Deuce Knight is going to try and take off with his legs, and he gets there. I don't know how Georgia lets that happen in the first place, but Auburn might not actually lose to the Bulldogs. I mean, they had their chance at the end zone and they threw an interception. That's probably going to do it. Now, we have seen teams not be able to clutch up from this moment and close out a game, but I have a feeling Kirby Smart is not going to be a coach that lets his team blow something like this. They're already in a good spot. Even though no team has scored a touchdown in this game, I could see Georgia getting a touchdown here, and he just exploded through the hole. He's in. So Auburn, only scoring 6 points this entire game, is going to lose in Imperialism in that fashion. Just like that, the number of teams that are left in this SEC Imperialism are down to half of the conference. And there's a couple of teams here that are not like the rest. Who would have thought that even in a much smaller Imperialism, we still have some underdog stories? And let's see what direction the Sooners are attacking in. They're going to be headed over to the east. I thought we might get a game against Texas, but it's Ole Miss once again having to defend. And they've already withstood so many attacks, I'm not sure how much longer they can keep it up for. For all we know, this could be it for them, though they've been driving down the field looking for that go-ahead touchdown, and they have 4 plays to make it happen. This first one is going to put them out at the 6. I can't say that that was great for the Rebels, but they're throwing it again. Trinidad steps up, and there's a quarterback spy for a reason. I have seen the Rebels overcome a lot, so I'm pretty confident they'll be able to do that in this game as well, but he's taken way too long to make a read. He scrambles again, and this time there was no QB spy. Oklahoma is still going to get their chance to get a field goal to tie it, but I have a feeling this Ole Miss defense is just going to hang on. For whatever reason, Oklahoma ran the ball on the last play. They're taking a drag for 7, and that's already gotten them through 2 of their 3 timeouts. On 3rd and 2, John Mateer, another short throw. They're going to have to burn their final one. So basically, they are probably not sending this game to overtime unless they have like a 25-yard gain through the air. That came close to it, but we'll see how Oklahoma handles the final 16 seconds. 3 seconds left on the clock. By the time they get a snap off, they had no choice but to run a play. They did have a choice on whether or not they threw it up to the end zone, though. I'm not sure why they did. Once again, Ole Miss is just going to avoid elimination. Kentucky's getting a chance to beat somebody, and I'm not sure who we're about to attack, but let's just hope for the best. It's going to be Georgia. We're going to have to walk into their stadium and somehow be one of the rare teams that can win there. It clearly did not go very well, though. 34-10. Kentucky wasn't able to score that many points. Georgia just ran the ball effectively, and it's a failed attack for the Wildcats, but at least we had an opportunity to get one. I will say that wheel landing on Georgia has me pretty nervous, but it ended up pointing the Bulldogs straight to Tuscaloosa, and there's a decent chance that this is it for Alabama. As time winds down in this one, though, Georgia currently trails by 10 points. And I almost think that you just take your field goal here and then go for the onside kick. Georgia is not going to do that, though. They're taking another shot for the end zone after Gunnar Stockton missed the last throw. And I think Alabama is going to defend their home territory pretty well. There's simply no way that they're going to score a touchdown in 3 seconds. It's impossible. So this final play doesn't even matter. But I think it summed up what their offense was this entire game, just not on the same page. They had an opportunity to knock out another one of the favorites, and they just couldn't do it. As for Texas, well, they already got rid of one of them, and the next closest team to where that arrow just landed is going to be LSU. Even though the Tigers have been disappointing in real life, they've been able to make it this far. And that's about as far as they're going to make it, losing 37-15 to Texas. It just wasn't a great day for the Tigers. All of a sudden, Arch Manning and the Longhorns have started to come come alive and just take teams out, which has only grown the amount of territory from the SEC that they've expanded to. And that leaves us with just these 7 programs left in Imperialism. We're getting closer and closer to a conclusion. Kentucky, another chance to attack. And this time the arrow wheel is going to take them over to the west. That's not exactly great news because it's just going to make us claim the state of Indiana. So we don't even get to take our chance at beating anybody else, and Georgia's about to get another. I have a feeling this is probably going to point near Kentucky, but shockingly it didn't, and instead Ole Miss is the team that's getting attacked. I feel like if the Rebels can beat this, they would have beat at least 2/3 of the conference in this Imperialism, and I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they just keep getting it done. We're starting to notice a trend where Georgia's offense either plays extremely well or they come out very flat and don't do anything. Unfortunately, when Kentucky attacked, they didn't play this way. I don't think we can read too much into that though. It looks like Ole Miss is headed to the field. They literally just defended their land. They've had to play so many times. And this is actually the worst thing that could have happened to the Rebels. They're attacking Alabama. Typically, this wouldn't be a big deal. They'd have a chance to take over more territory, but they have already lost to Alabama twice. So if they lose for a 3rd time here, Alabama gets to take over all their territory. It's the new rule. No matter what happens here, one of these 2 teams is getting sent home for good. And I almost think Ole Miss is in a better spot, even though they're trailing by 4 since they have the football. Trinidad Chambliss pulls down a couple defenders with the play action, and that's going to help the Rebels get another 15. So the Ole Miss drive stays alive. They might not have any timeouts, but I don't think they need them when you're this far down the field. It is really challenging for a team to lose 3 in a row against another program. But headed into this game, Ole Miss was on the verge of it, and now they're going to have a chance to get into the end zone. He's short. Time's about to tick for a little bit longer. If I'm Bama, I'm almost calling some timeouts. But they're comfortable with their defense the way it is. They're comfortable with how much time's remaining, and they get the stop. They're going to do it. The new rule is actually going to come into effect. I wasn't sure it would apply to any team, but Ole Miss has officially attacked Alabama 3 times, and they've lost every single game, so they are going to be the first team to ever be eliminated from Imperialism with that rule. If you get that many chances to win and you still can't, I believe you should be punished for it. And depending on what happens in the Egg Bowl with the Lane Kiffin news, Ole Miss fans could be having a really rough weekend. That leaves us with just 6 teams left now. Anything could still happen. And we've seen Georgia fail a couple of attacks recently, but I don't know about this one. It's going to be pointed straight towards Big Blue Nation, no other school around. So Kentucky better play perfectly as we try and defend Kroger Field. Now you might say that I'm coping even watching with us trailing by 10, but I just have to hope for the best for Kentucky football and a comeback against the Bulldogs. After taking plenty of time off of the clock, we're finally getting a first. And even though we did, I can just see the writing on the wall. The final timeout has been used, and with 30 seconds left, we go towards the sideline, getting out of bounds. From this spot on the field, I almost wish we just kick our field goal. Not because it would have been an easy kick, but because now we've wasted the rest of the time left in this game. Georgia might have knocked Kentucky out of Imperialism, but I am just proud that we made it there in the first place. We beat multiple teams along the way. That is more than enough to keep me satisfied, and I think we ought to root for Georgia the rest of this to say we lost to the inevitable Imperialism champion. The only technical underdog story left is Missouri, who always sits around the top 25, but they never end up winning any big games. They have the worst odds to win this Imperialism. And as for Georgia, they just keep getting landed on with more opportunities to attack. They've only lost to Bama once so far, so this is a risk-free attack for them. So if Alabama wants to stay in this thing, they better play some lockdown defense. With a minute left, Georgia has the football. They're at the 32-yard line. They need 68 yards to win. And they wasted a decent bit of time before this next play, but if they're going to get to midfield, it won't matter. With a timeout left still, I feel like they got a decent chance at knocking out the Crimson Tide. And Gunnar Stockton is about to get this ball out pretty quick, finding Zachariah Branch. Nearing the 30-yard line, about 30 seconds left, trying to get out of bounds. But since they couldn't, it's a good time to use that timeout. Georgia is still about 30 yards away from the end zone, so you really need some big plays like this one. They are over the line. This is how Alabama goes out. They actually gave up a touchdown. Zach Branch has done it. He is so fast, and that explosiveness is really what allowed him to turn the corner and get into the end zone, because from where he caught this football, I didn't think he was getting in. I thought he might be tackled at like the 5. The 2-point conversion is still kind of important, as Gunnar Stockton thought about not getting in for a second. Not sure what was up with that, but now the best Alabama can do is tie it. And if they take this kickoff out of the end zone, they'd be wasting more time. Typically, the computer does, so it's a good thing for fans of the Crimson Tide that they didn't. They still have all 3 timeouts. And I don't want to say field goal range is impossible, but you need to have some very fast plays. Ty Simpson's going to have to get this ball out quick with a laser, and that's exactly what he does. Ryan Williams gets all the way down to the 25-yard line. That's what they needed. I told you it was possible. I told you that 2-point conversion would come back to be a major deal. And it looks like the Bulldogs are getting the ball first in overtime. Gunnar Stockton straight to the 7. Now, sometimes the game just gives players credit for balls that were not caught. That was clearly dropped. They didn't get credit for it. And so they're back to the 25-yard line where they're going for another pass, and it doesn't work out. Georgia receivers and drops. Can you think of a combination that makes more sense? At least they're able to run the football well. And with a new set of downs, they've realized, why are we not just keeping it on the ground? On 2nd and 6, they pulled out the RPO. They pulled out one of the best plays in the game. And on the 1-yard line, they really didn't need much more, but they decided to throw. As for what Alabama can do, just score a touchdown on this drive with a crazy throw like that from Ty Simpson. I mean, it was on the money. I think that ball should have been caught. And you have to wonder if they take another deep shot like that or just get like 13. Ryan Williams is having himself a day. 7 catches, 157 yards. He doesn't get it here, but that's because he's demanding a decent bit of attention. I saw him get double teamed on this play. Ty Simpson runs, and that sets them up for a 3rd and 5 with a wide open player. Remember, if Alabama loses this game, they are eliminated. And so they better be ready to score all 7 points on this drive. You cannot get held to a field goal. It wouldn't be a guarantee that they'd be ending their run here, but it would set them up for it. And I gotta say, it feels like every time Georgia and Alabama play, it is such a great game. Alabama got exactly what they needed to for their 2-point conversion play call. Tight end in the flat is going to get blown up. And Georgia, with the touchdown, 2-point conversion, would be knocking out Alabama. We'll see if Gunnar Stockton can pull it off. They got a great block on that play. Also love how Oscar Delp just reached for it. And I think that's the type of effort that's going to be the game-changing difference. They have literally not had an answer for Zach Branch this entire day. And I could see Georgia just getting in right here. They got an open tight end. Oscar takes his way into the end zone. Alabama has been eliminated from Imperialism, leaving us with just 4 teams left. If you just take a look at the 4 teams left as well, there's many observations you could make. But a couple that stick out to me is Georgia's the only school here that's been in the SEC for a while, and none of these teams have played each other this entire Imperialism. When these teams go on the attack, there's no previous history that they have to worry about. And is Georgia just going to get every single attack from here on out? I mean, I think they could be claiming states for quite a while since there are so many up here that they're headed in the direction of, which does not help their odds of winning this entire thing. You have to be able to attack other schools. Texas is about to get that opportunity, headed near the Sooners. I figured that had to be pointed in their direction, but this is another game that will be played at a neutral site. There is nothing I can do about it. With that in mind, I actually feel pretty bad for Oklahoma because they currently find themselves trailing by 7 points. And I feel like it could have been a difference maker if they got to play this in their own stadium. Here at the Cotton Bowl, it's split 50-50. We all know that. And they're going to get off another play before the 2-minute timeout, which does help them a little bit. But they're really going to need to get something going more than just a couple of yards. It is now 4th and 3. Texas could basically end the game right here. They're not going to. But John Mateer's already thrown 2 interceptions, so a third isn't going to be shocking. 1.5 minutes left on the clock still. Plenty of time for a play that's deflected. It hits like 3 different defenders' hands, but nobody catches it. And I cannot believe that Texas has actually allowed Oklahoma to stay in this game. I mean, they're just giving up the biggest play of all time. That speed is unstoppable. Turning upfield for a touchdown like that in the Cotton Bowl has got to be one of the best feelings that you can have. And can we just appreciate that play for a little bit longer? It might have been my favorite one of this entire video. It has saved Oklahoma for now, but Arch Manning can still pull off the win. They've got another 45 seconds to get in field goal range, and they also have all 3 of their timeouts. So once they start using those, it's going to look real ugly for the Sooners. All the Longhorns need is another 20 yards, and that's going to be a good chunk of it. So I can't say that it's looking great for Oklahoma, and even knocking that ball loose doesn't really help them out as much as you would think it would. The clock stops, giving Texas a chance to draw up a better play than that one was. Breaking a tackle, they're closing in by reaching out, and I'm not sure if they can kick from the 41-yard line, but I'd be willing to bet they're at least going to try, so the Sooners have got to try and ice him. This could be it for Oklahoma. A 58-yard kick to eliminate them from Imperialism slowly goes straight down the middle. And I can't say the Sooners even stand a chance. Their only hope is get the ball in the hands of number 4 and let him turn upfield. That explosiveness is what saved them in the first place. John Mateer doesn't look in his direction though. Instead, they're going down in bounds. And that's going to be the final timeout. The guy you want to look out for is on that left side of the field. I am sure that he's just going to look to the right, though, where the tight end makes like a 5-yard out route. The reason I know that is that's what teams typically do in this spot, which is really dumb. It doesn't give them any chance at scoring a touchdown. That is what Oklahoma decided to go with, though, whose territory has not changed at all throughout this entire imperialism. And it's crazy Missouri is still chilling up there with 0 action as well. They have somehow stumbled their way into the top 3, and they might not even have to play until the championship potentially, depending on where this arrow is pointing. Now, I can sit here and I can draw a slow line. It looks like it might hit Texas or Missouri's land, which is why I decided to do a little bit more research. This is a huge moment, and it looks like from the center of Georgia's logo all the way up to here where the arrow ends, that is going to be Missouri's land. So if the Bulldogs end up winning this game, the SEC Imperialism Championship will be between Texas and Georgia. I think that's what's going to happen with a minute 18 left on the clock. Missouri currently finds themselves down by 8, and Bo Prabula has thrown for 2 interceptions with no touchdowns. That is going to waste a lot of time off of the clock, and the fact they couldn't even catch that ball there is just embarrassing. For 3rd and 10, you need a huge gain, and they tried to get it, but they couldn't even move the chains. So Missouri might get held to a 4 and out unless they were able to get something like this. The Tigers just got a little bit of hope, and that could take them from someone we didn't think stood a chance to actually winning this game. They could still defend their territory. They keep looking for a tight end, but one thing that's going to change versus what's happened on the last 2 plays after is they have no timeout to stop the clock. That's just going to take away so much time, and this is actually their final play. They got stopped in bounds. Not much they can do about it. Georgia's going to go on the road and they're going to win, which is something that they've been able to do for basically this entire imperialism. And I feel like these 2 teams deserve their spots in the championship. The last game in imperialism always takes place on a neutral site. And I was going to make it the SEC championship location, but it wouldn't let me. So we're just going with the national. With 3 minutes left, it is a tie game all at 21. So this could not be more competitive than it has been. And Gunnar Stockton has the ball in his hands. He's thrown 2 interceptions, so if he would have played a little bit better, Georgia would probably be winning. But you can't be thinking about that now when the Bulldogs are so close to winning SEC Imperialism. 3rd and 1, though, if they don't pick it up, they'll punt. So this right here is the biggest play of the game, and Texas thought that they were just going to hand it off to Nate Frazier, but Gunnar Stockton pulls it for a huge run, and that sets them up very well. There's still 2 minutes left, so I think Georgia will score before the end of the game. I don't think they're just going to run off the final 2 minutes. The AI doesn't seem to be that smart, but how much time they leave Texas is very important. Every extra play they mix in before they score makes a major difference. They're about to be on the 10, and Texas realizes they have to start calling timeouts. If you're rooting for the Longhorns, though, that's really good news. The fact that they're even aware they should be stopping the clock is going to help them quite a bit getting out of bounds. Zach Branch trying to make an impact, but Texas wasn't letting him do anything there. And on 2nd and 8, it looks like they're going to have an open Oscar Delp. At least I think I was him. They threw it to a tight end, making this 3rd and 1. And that's where Georgia gets in. Texas isn't out of it yet, though. They still have a minute on the clock. And that is going to leave Arch Manning not much time to score. The game is in his hands, though. After they decide to take out that kickoff, he has to go 90 yards down the field. It's a tough task for him to pull off, especially since they only have that 1 timeout. 45 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be intercepted by the Bulldogs, and Georgia wins SEC Imperialism. I have to give them their credit. They've knocked out probably half of the teams in this thing, maybe not that many, but they have beat quite a few. So I'd say that their pathway to this moment was well deserved. The SEC didn't end up taking over the whole country, but they got like half of it, and that'll probably be the last Imperialism for a bit. Let's just hope the EA can update the AI and make them actually intelligent at some point. There will still be tournament videos coming, though, because we have the playoffs coming up, and I always like to do some fun stuff around that.